The skin age just under or above your eye is 20 to 30 years older than the skin on your temple or forehead.
You don't want to miss this talk because that thing, that lotion or serum or cream you are putting on your face daily might not be doing what you think it is doing. It may not be making you look younger. It may in fact be aging your skin. Dr. Carolina Oliveira is the CEO and founder of OneSkin, a company focused on not just making skin look better, but on making skin biologically younger. She has degrees in stem cell biology and tissue engineering and a doctorate in immunology, and she is determined to translate her academic achievements into real-world impact. She first discovered an amazing way to test products, chemicals, and peptides on actual skin cells and understand the impact those same products have on skin cell age, and then used that technology in over 8 years of research to discover the first molecule validated to reverse skin's biological age, the OS-01 peptide.
We can restore that ability of the skin to produce collagen and improve your appearance, and we can actually bring the skin to a younger age. So we can measure this in the lab. The main detrimental factor of senescent cells is...
Hi, my name is Chris Burris. I'm a longevity expert and the chief scientist at a lab focused on a longevity molecule. My primary focus is to help people live longer and better lives with science. Make sure to subscribe and share so you and your friends can live longer and better, so you and your friends can live beyond the norms.
Hi, and welcome to the next Live Beyond the Norms Health and Longevity podcast episode. I have some bad news for you. And I'll be honest, this may apply more to women than men, but it is still really bad news. If you're into skincare and you are working hard to protect and heal your skin with available skin products, our next guest has some bad news for you. But don't worry, it's not all bad news. Our next guest is Dr. Carolina Oliveira, who has been fascinated with biology since a very young age. We will get into some more details about her impressive education and pedigree. Just know you don't want to miss this talk because that thing, that lotion or serum or cream you are putting on your face daily might not be doing what you think it is doing. It may not be making you look younger. It may in fact be aging your skin. Carolina is the CEO and founder of OneSkin, a company focused on not just making skin look better, but on making skin biologically younger. She has degrees in stem cell biology and tissue engineering and a doctorate in immunology, and she is determined to translate her academic achievements into real-world impact. In 2016, Carolina left her native Brazil for Silicon Valley, co-founding OneSkin. She first discovered an amazing way to test products, chemicals, and peptides on actual skin cells and understand the impact those same products have on skin cell age, and then used that technology in over 8 years of research to discover the first molecule validated to reverse skin's biological age, the OS-01 peptide. Carolina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. Really excited for this conversation.
So we met at the Biohacking Conference VIP dinner and had an amazing conversation. We also attended a soccer match in Las Vegas together, although we didn't get a chance to meet up. But that was Brazil versus Paraguay. Brazil, took care of business. Before we talk science and reversing skin age, I want to ask a few questions so the audience can get to know you a little better. Your undergraduate degree is in biochemistry, your master's in biochemistry and immunology, and your doctorate, which includes an exchange year at Rutgers University in stem cell biology and tissue engineering. These are not easy courses of study. They are typically courses of study that require a lot of passion and perseverance. As you were growing up, where do you think you got this passion for science and this perseverance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had a lot of incentive from my parents as I was growing up and really focusing on my studies and finding something that I was excited about. And I was always drawn to human biology. My father loved like plants and he's like a coffee producer. My mom was a teacher, but I was not much into plants. Sometimes he would invite me to go to the farm. Like I didn't love going to the farm, but he would buy me some of like Scientific American magazines, and I wouldn't like necessarily read all of them, but I would like, you know, kind of look at it and get familiar with those concepts. And I love understanding things that how things work, and from a biological standpoint it's really more interesting because when you get down to the DNA level and you understand how the DNA is programmed to derive one type of cell or to work this way or that way, and eventually things don't work as we expect, and that's when we get some diseases or disorders. And when you understand everything from that lens, it becomes so much easier to propose like ways to fix things from, you know, a human biology standpoint. And I always thought that was fascinating to be able to have that power of like controlling human biology. It seems like, oh, I'm almost like a god that I can manipulate humans. But in some ways, that I think all of this passion came from this intention or desire of like really help humans to live better, to have better quality of lives. I would see my grandparents, you know, aging and suffering from degenerative diseases. And I didn't feel that that was right, that we all needed to go through this path, and that as if I were a scientist, I could help change things and hopefully find a cure for a certain disease. So at first I thought that I would go to medical school because I want to help people and I want to fix diseases. And then I was not passionate about like hospitals and blood. That was not my thing. I was like, I want to do research. And I realized that if I want to do research, I can study, you know, other subjects like biochemistry is really interesting because, again, you get to very molecularly on understanding the biology of cells and how things work inside the cell. So I did biochemistry for my undergrad, and it seems complicated, but when you break things down and everything makes so much sense, it becomes so interesting. That's not like difficult or boring. I think a lot of people study biochemistry in one semester and then it becomes like this, you know, horrible thing that you needed to learn all the pathways and how things work. But when you break things down and everything makes sense and connect in a beautiful, harmonic way, it's actually fascinating. But I didn't want to just understand the theory. I want to, you know, work with something that would translate. So that's why eventually I moved to this area of stem cell biology and tissue engineering, because, okay, now I want to use biology to create something, some therapies that I can actually bring to people and impact like their lives, their health. So that's when I decided to focus on my PhD more like in the stem cell biology field. And it's fascinating. Stem cell biology, you can do so many things. There are so many potential applications. And that's when eventually I started, you know, I wanted to take this out of academia and start a company. But that was kind of the origin of, you know, this interest and passion for science.
Yeah, so you have your dad passionate about biology. Okay, plant biology. Maybe you're not on your radar, but plant biology like gives you a lot of the base. Your mom's a teacher, right? So she's certainly knowledgeable and has a quest for knowledge in this learning. And then I liked what you said when you're like, yeah, biochemistry it seems really complicated. I think the reality is that it is. You just really like it, and also you're probably smart. Like I'm just going to throw that out there. Now, just another kind of more like business focused question. You have 3 other business partners, all women, all PhDs, a super feminine powerhouse. You all started working together, I think, around 2016. I have a business partner. We've been working together for 33 years. This is not always easy. First, how did you all 4 come together? And you're the CEO. Were you always the central figure and kind of like the cohesive piece bringing you 4 together?
Yeah, well, that's a long story, but we met when, so I met one of my co-founders, Mariana, when I was in college. So we were the same class during college. And I met Juliana and Alessandra when I started doing my master's and PhD in a different lab. And we all were connected. And we got together because we all had this desire first of translating science. I didn't see myself in academia just like doing research and publishing papers and writing grants. That was not for me. And all of them, they were very innovative and disruptive, and they would think out of the box. So they all had like their unique powers in some ways, and that really brought us together because we want to do something different. Alessandra joined us a little later, but I started something with Mariana and Juliana back in Brazil, 2014. This first endeavor didn't work for several reasons that we don't need to mention here, but got us the opportunity to come to the US. And when we got the opportunity to join in the bio, I was the only one that was willing to move here. So that was a time that we had a lot of discussions, very heated discussions about, the company, if we should go, if we should not. To me, was the very clear opportunity to keep that dream alive, to actually make a difference, because in Brazil we're not finding support from investors, from the whole ecosystem. Like, it's not prone to help biotech companies to start and grow. And I knew that if there was a place that we would have a better chance to succeed, that place would be Silicon Valley. So to me, there was no doubt. That required a restructuring the company, and that restructure led me to be the CEO because I was the one coming here. So there was a lot of, I would say, challenging times, and we found a way to make it work for several years, and they were very, very fundamental for the beginning of the company, for everything that we built in the technology. They all contributed in many, many ways, with their expertise, with their support. And at some point, like, it was only me here, and I had some interns, and they were supporting me from apart. And then Alessandra joined me here 1 year later. So when Alessandra joined me here, I really felt, okay, now I have a partner that I can rely 24/7. And that made a huge difference, because it's so hard, this entrepreneurial journey, and doing by yourself is crazy. And eventually, what I think was 7 years later, we realized, okay, this company is growing, or we're focusing in the U.S. market. We still don't have plans to go to Brazil. They were in Brazil, so we decided to basically end their role in the operations in the day-to-day. They are still, co-founders and part of the story, and very, very, important for our journey. But eventually, you realize that you needed to be fully in to take this company to the next level. I think the company goes through several phases, and each phase is really, really important. You can never disregard that. But the next phase, it requires growing the business in a different way, that you needed to be 24/7. And that's why we decided that. And it happened in I would say, in decent terms. It's never easy,
Yeah.
Everyone has been through co-founders issues, but I think we tried our best to keep that, friendly relationship, and it's still very, very, appreciative, and I'm a big fan of all of them. They are all incredible, powerful women that I admire. And today in the company, I think we have 70% women still, so we still are a power women house, and, a lot of scientists. and we are making this work. So yeah, continue to bring that women energy wherever we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, kind of what I heard. My understanding in South America, Brazil is a pretty big economic powerhouse,
Yeah,
but just not and necessarily in the bio
yeah,
industry, right? And so you have to come in. You mentioned fully in, and even in that story, who's the first that's fully in and actually in Silicon Valley? That's you. That just maps with the first part of your story. So, one last question, kind of in this vein. You were recently married. Congratulations. Like I saw that. Which is easier, three business partners or one husband?
oh, one husband is way three business partners is a lot of work.
And it may just be right. It's just if it were just one, maybe I can tell you my business partner and I had a tough conversation just this week. Like, and we've been business partners for 33 years. I think the important piece is have the conversations and have the respect and then move on whatever the right day. All right, okay. So that's fun. Thank you. I'd love to get to know the people I get to interview better. Let's talk science. So we did a short interview at the biohacking conference. It was in that interview that I came to understand you were involved in a technology to help identify if substances have a positive or negative impact on skin age. Talk a little bit about that technology, like where was it born, and then I'll try and control time because we took a lot there. I really appreciate it. I like it, but I also want to get to a whole bunch of topics.
Yeah, so when we came here to join IndieBio, our first approach was to validate anti-aging
By
products.
the way, you came over in a like a startup environment. What was it? Bio? I probably have it in here
Yeah,
somewhere.
IndieBio, so they are
Indie
biotech
Bio. Yep.
accelerator, like the YC for biotech. So they help like scientists to start their companies. They mentor, they connect with investors. So it's a great place for biotech entrepreneurs, and they really help you and push you like to find product market fit. So the
Mm.
first thing that we were trying to do is to find a new way to validate the efficacy of anti-aging products. We know that anti-aging is a massive, $150 billion industry, and the consumer is still lost in terms like, okay, what products actually work, what's like pseudoscience. And we decided to use our expertise of growing human skins in the lab. So from the tissue engineering, we are able to replicate the skin in the lab. And then we can measure the age of that skin that we're growing. So by reading the epigenetic signature, more specifically the methylation profile, we can determine the age of the skin. And then we can test any given product that's in the market. We can test any ingredient and we can measure if that product or ingredient can change that skin's age. So that was our first approach. And we started testing a lot of products and we're studying so much about aging and the biology of aging, how to measure, how to best quantify, that we realized that the science of understanding the main mechanisms that are driving aging has evolved so much in the past 10-15 years. And all of these products that were claiming to be anti-aging, they were not utilizing this latest science. They were still based on old ingredients and no innovation. And they were mainly focused on addressing the symptoms of aging. So they want to address your fine lines, wrinkles, and dark spots, but they are not attacking what's causing age in the first place. So you can always treat the symptoms, but if you're not treating the cause, you're only going to offer, a very short-term benefit. And then we realized that, okay, there is a new way here that we can actually address aging at the source that can be a lot more effective and not only making your skin to look better, but behave like younger skin. We can bring this skin to a biologically younger state that will work better, will function better, and as a consequence, will look better. And at that point, we were talking to investors and like the platform sound good of testing, but like this is not going to be like a $1 billion business. Now, if you focus on finding something that can actually reverse aging, okay, that can be a $1 billion business. So we found a lot more support also from investors to develop a new molecule that would reverse aging, which is really, really hard. But if you can get something to work, like there is a meaningful business here. So we switch like from testing products to researching new molecules. And we spent like the first 4 or 5 years just doing research, no product, until we landed on this new molecule that we found, OS-01. It's a peptide. And the peptide, what it does, it basically reduces the amount of old cells in our skin. These old cells are also called senescent cells or zombie cells. These are cells that have either divided many times and they accumulated a lot of damage, mutation, so they shouldn't divide, they should die, but somehow they escape from this apoptosis process and they linger around and they start secreting inflammation. That inflammation is really detrimental to your skin. It's going to cause like collagen breakdown, which will lead to sagging, wrinkles. But if you can reduce the number of those old cells, then you have the young cells that can replicate, that can produce more collagen. So by removing them, by reducing the load of those old cells, we can restore that ability of the skin to produce collagen and improve your skin barrier appearance. And we can actually bring the skin to a younger age. So we can measure this in the lab. So that's like how we got to the peptide. More data around this peptide is that we measured in the lab that it can reduce the skin's age in 2.5 years over a course of like 5 days. Obviously, this is in a lab condition, so we cannot necessarily translate this to humans, but it is the first molecule validated and published in a peer-reviewed journal that can actually reverse the age of the skin. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have so many questions, right? So you first start off with an ability to test the skin age, looking at methylation, right? And then because you're in IndieBio, because you're in Silicon Valley and I've joined this group, you get the right advice, which is like, that's really interesting. And if that's what you want to do, okay. But the way that you create a large company, which is what IndieBio's is going to be after, you really need to kind of let's use this technology to come up with something. And then OS-01 is the first peptide that you leaned on. One of my questions is, so OS-01 is a senolytic, right? Like it actually goes in, is that correct? Is that a correct description?
It's more like a xenomorphic. So the way it works in 2 ways. One way is switching off senescent cells, because the main detrimental factor of senescent cells is the inflammation that they put out there. Mm-hmm. So the peptide is able to switch off all the inflammation that these senescent cells secrete. So by reducing the inflammation in that environment, we can allow our own tissue to go there and eliminate some of those senescent cells that are impairing your immune system to work well. So usually the NK cells, the natural killer cells, are the ones that recognize these old cells and clear them out of the way. If there is a lot of inflammation, they get overwhelmed, they don't function well. The other way that the peptide works is by increasing DNA repair capacity. So the young cells don't get to accumulate a lot of damage and don't become senescent cells in the first place. That also helps reducing the load of senescent cells. So it's more xenomorphic in a more preventative way, but because it reduces the inflammation, it helps your body to also work as a senolytic, doing its natural job. That's like to clear the senescent cells that are already there.
So then that kind of, for me, I go back and I say, you've got this test. By the way, is that test available? Is anybody using that test in the way that you used to?
Which test you mean?
The one to test the skin cells and then like throw in different components and understand their skin's biological age?
This one we have optimized inside OneSkin to generate like the best way to read the for molecule that would decrease senescent cells. So it's more like a proprietary know-how. But there are a lot of papers published that use similar, strategies. We just optimize for our own needs here.
Okay, very cool. And so because OS-01 is, I know that we have to be very careful with anti-inflammatory, but if you're managing those, then it might have some of those impacts. That's probably the right phrase. I don't know how deep you've dove in with the FDA kind of thought process around inflammation. Increasing DNA repair. So would it be true that part of this aging test, looking at methylation, the fact that there's senescent cells there, the fact that there's additional inflammation, that shows up in that DNA methylation test, right? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like one of the ways that senescent cells, we can measure the accumulation of senescent cells is through the methylation. So you have the senescent cells will change the methylation pattern, and then you can read that using our algorithm that we already developed to map like the skin's age.
Yeah, excellent. So if you could magically or painstakingly just take a sample and pull out all the senescent cells, and then leave the other sample, those would show up as younger and older, and that's good. And I think we're just learning so much about senescent cells. I just had a conversation with Qualia, I think it was last week. So it's fantastic what they're doing. So one of the things at the beginning of this, I know when we had our conversation at the biohacking conference, I asked, like, have you had to throw away some of your skincare products, like these traditional, maybe even high-end skincare products that marketing does a great job of convincing Carolina she needs to use because it's going to help her, right? And your answer was yes. If you want to share that one, I think people would be very interested. If you don't, I totally understand. But one of the questions that comes up for me, so are there things that can actually handle fine lines, wrinkles, dark spots, and then also actually do damage, right? So they have the ability to do this kind of superficial stuff, but at the same time, maybe not actually make it younger, because that's one thing. Like yours is reducing skin age 2.5 years over 5 days, at least in your test cases. So one, are there things that can manage fine lines, wrinkles, and dark spots and not really have an impact on skin age, and then actually have a detrimental impact on skin age?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we started researching and developing our platform, like we need like positive controls, like what it's known as like the best anti-aging products molecules out there. And first we got some really expensive best-selling products, and we decided to test, okay, let's see if this actually works. To our surprise, they not only not worked, but they were really detrimental to the skins. Like the cells were degenerating, they were causing so much inflammation, and that was one example of a product that you are better off not using anything that using that product.
Are you okay to share what that is, or?
Yeah, I don't want to, obviously
make a big deal about it, but
my only comment about this product is that you can go out to several organizations out there that evaluate the ingredient of products, and they can rate how toxic or how safe is that ingredient. And you can see for several products that a lot of them contain a lot of toxic ingredients. And if they have toxic ingredients, your skin is going to suffer. Some organizations that help, none of them are perfect. I should already disclaim that. But the EWG is one, the Environmental World Group. There's the Eczema Association, and there is the Safe Skin Products. These are 3 ones that we recommend people to, go there and research ingredients, because that can definitely help guide people in terms of, let me see, because in the end, it's all about the ingredients that you have there. Like some have amazing actives, and the actives can be good, but if you fill in the rest of the formulation with like poor ingredients, in the end, you are ruining the whole product. And there are many, many products out there. I think the other ingredient or product that's very well known in the industry is retinoic acid or retinols in general. So retinols, they work by basically they bind a lot of receptors inside the cells and they induce cell renewal. They activate like the cell turnover. And what it does is basically it induces you grow like a newer layer of your epidermal layer. That's the outer layer of the skin. So when you start using retinol, first you're gonna probably see your skin peeling off a little bit, and then you're gonna look, a little younger because it's fresher. It's a little more tight, and that looks good. Some people can tolerate well, some people cannot tolerate. Some people get really sensitive, and if you're sensitive, you should not. I would say insist because that inflammation, that redness, it's basically a sign that your skin is reacting to it in a bad way, and more inflammation, we know that's always bad for you. If it's temporary, okay. If it's like long persistent, is not good. But when we start testing retinoic acid in the skins in the lab, we saw this effect of like peeling off and like the cell turnover. We also saw a lot of increase in collagen, hyaluronic acid, that everyone says, okay, increases collagen. But we did see an increase in aging genes and also inflammatory genes. So my read on this is that in the lab, we can only test for a short period of time. And we know that retinoic acid in the acute phase can cause that inflammation and can, until your skin adapts, you can basically be almost like increasing age, and then you can like restore to, I would say, a basal level. But my advice in general is that not that you should not use retinol, you should not overuse it, because if you use very high concentrations, and if you're stripping out your skin, you're basically, first of all, exposing your skin, because you're eliminating your skin barrier. The barrier is what protects your skin against like all the environmental factors. That's why a lot of people get sun sensitivity when they're using retinol, because you don't have that barrier protecting you. So alternate, between days. Always pair with a moisturizer or a product that's like more reparative. Like our product is a good one because it's going to decrease inflammation. It's going to help with DNA repair. It's going to basically counteract any potential side effects of retinol. If you do that and if you don't overuse, I think some people can, get the benefits of it. If you feel that, my skin is always reacting, don't insist. There are other alternatives there. So to me, when I saw this, I was using retinol so much because first I had, acne when I was growing up, and then everyone was like, this is the best anti-aging product. So I was constantly peeling off and I was constantly red. I was like, oh, I'm getting younger, that's great. And then I started seeing the data in the lab, and like those genes, they were going up, and like this gene should be going down. Like why this, aging gene is going up. So for me at that point, I basically stopped using. And then nowadays, from time to time, I use a little bit. My skin tolerates today better because I think my skin barrier is a lot stronger. So I could reintroduce into my routine. But in general, I think that was an interesting learning. And I think for a long time, the industry has pushed too much of the strongest version is the best for you. And everyone was doing a lot of things that was very abrasive for our skin in order to look younger, without taking consideration that the main function of our skin is to be a barrier. And if you are compromising that barrier, we'll have other consequences down the line. We'll have like a lot of skin issues. So I think there is just like an important awareness play in terms of like respecting our skin as, an organ, and really listening to it. When it starts reacting, we should make sure that we dial down on the the actives that we are putting in a way that it needs to be it needs to, find a balance and basically find a way to that your skin reacts back to, better to it.
Hey, super quick break from the podcast. Hopefully you're loving it. This is a way you can support the podcast and take advantage of a great offer. We're offering 50% off of one of our MCT bottles. MCT is an amazing oil. Add the ESS60 molecule to it. It's even more amazing. All you got to do is leave a review on iTunes, send us a notification that you've left that review. We'll get you a coupon code that'll get you 50% off of our MCT oil and free shipping. Back to the podcast.
So you may, in fact, be kind of sacrificing tomorrow's skin to have today's skin look better.
Exactly.
As soon as you started talking about inflammation, I can imagine that some fine lines and some wrinkles might go away with inflammation, right? Like, is that true? Like, because that just, like, if you make it puffy, then like it stretches, and so right, is that a thing? And then you're like, yeah, but the problem is you're using something detrimental, this inflammation, to solve a short-term problem.
Yeah, I don't know, because the inflammation, I don't think they cut it's not
that
like
much inflammation.
Yeah, it's not that much that is you're gonna be swollen and then you're gonna be puffy. It's more that because you're peeling off, you're gonna see a little bit of redness, but then you're gonna see like a smoother skin because you have a fresher skin. The other thing about retinol, that even though like it has these amazing effects of on the appearance and in collagen, this is completely acceptable. It's not targeting, again, the main driver of aging. So in the end, if we're using retinoic acid, if we're using vitamin C, that's like another ingredient that is very important, antioxidants, it's really good for your skin. You still need to attack the root cause. Otherwise, you're always, trying to catch up and you're treating the symptoms, but you're never gonna have like the best skin that you can have, because it needs to really go to the source.
So what do you think about, so potentially if you're peeling off, I can imagine we're having more and more understanding about microbiomes, right? Gut microbiome, certainly, and then you have oral microbiome, there's a skin microbiome. Have you guys kind of looked at the skin microbiome, and then, because that may be an opportunity, like maybe we need to have prebiotics for our skin. I don't know, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah,
You're nodding excitedly, so this is kind of cool.
No, 100%. I think and there is a lot of products in the market trying to improve your skin microbiome or focus on your skin microbiome. Microbiome is a very complex field because, it's an immense variety of microorganisms, and basically you need to find the right balance of like the good bacteria and how you stimulate the good bacteria and minimize the bad bacteria. And a lot of things that are very abrasive, they would tend to disrupt our microbiome. So again, those harsh retinols, and even a lot of the acne treatments that are really based on harsh products or acids, they end up really disturbing your skin microbiome. So in the end, obviously it's a trade-off. If your acne issue is really bad, you may compromise your skin microbiome for a little bit, because unfortunately acne is still a very challenging process. But I would say that for other products in the market, like for us, we did a study that we wanted to evaluate if our product would impact the microbiome, because we know that a healthy microbiome is really important for a healthy skin. And we did this study with another company called Hello Biome. They basically study skin microbiome, and we collect the microbiome before the participants start using our product. They used our product for, if I'm not mistaken, 6 weeks or maybe it's 12 weeks. I will need to confirm. And then we collect the microbiome again to see what was the change there. So the first data is that it's microbiome safe. We didn't disrupt the microbiome like variety in a way that would be negative. It also improved from like balance to a little bit more optimized. So we improved the amount of good bacteria that was important for basically for like keeping the skin healthier, younger. Uh, so that was a very interesting data for us because we have preservatives in our formula. Every product has, but preservatives sometimes, depending on the amount or which type of preservative, they can impact the skin microbiome. And for healthy skin, you needed to have your skin barrier and you needed to have a healthy layer of microbiome. They produce a lot of metabolites that communicates with like the skin cells. So you gotta always look for that healthy balance. And for our products, we were happy to see that we are preserving the microbiome.
So, I mean, when you start thinking about microbiome, and one, you think acne, bacteria, get rid of bacteria, right? But you definitely are interrupting the microbiome there. But so are the hormones, the typical ages. Your hormones are wreaking havoc on the skin microbiome, frankly, probably the whole body microbiome. So trying to like hone in on what's a good microbiome, like should we not be like here in the States, like we shower every day, like maybe we shouldn't be. Europeans tend to shower less. It's like, do you have a feeling on that?
I think it's totally fine to shower every day, but you should not use stripping soap. So that's like I think the new generation, like even like for face washers nowadays, we have a face washer that's really important to cleanse your face at the end of the day. You're, obviously exposed to a lot of impurities, pollution, and you should still cleanse your skin, but not in a way that you are disrupting the microbiome. So there are some light exfoliants, there are some ingredients that can help with that deep cleansing without using that detergent that's like, because the detergent will basically break the membranes of the microbes, so that's why you kill the microbiome, and that's what you should avoid. And I know that men, they love using the same soap for your body, for their face, and they don't care. And that's one of the things that you should look, that soap, that foam, a lot of times they can be really disruptive for your microbiome.
Well, and you mentioned foam because I was thinking, you're talking about some products on the market have really good components and then they like add stuff that's not good. A lot of shampoos have, sodium lauryl sulfate is a foaming agent known to be a carcinogen. Now, I think that the legal entities would say, yeah, at significant higher levels. And I think people in general are like, I don't want to put, carcinogens on my body at all. Like even if it's at a quote unquote safe level. And so when you start talking about foaming agents, you really rapidly get into, I think, sodium lauryl sulfate is by my understanding is by far one of the most predominant ones. And yeah, I'm very comfortable with one Dove soap everywhere, right? So your recommendation would be, okay, Dove physically, Dove on your body, but use some sort of other kind of less stringent cleanser that's going to be less biome interruptive.
Yeah.
Thinking about biomes on the skin, maybe, so there's two things. One, it wouldn't surprise me if our skin microbiome wants sunlight, right? That wouldn't surprise me. And then there's also this trend of like, we've got to get, like, people are like, you're using sunscreens that are, endocrine disruptors. Okay, that sounds like not good. We, don't do that. But at the same point, like if you want to spend a full day in the sun because you're at the beach the whole day, like one, be under a tent, but two, like you need some sort of sun protection. So any ideas about, yes, we need some sun for our microbiome, for our skin health in general, or is all sun bad? And then, how do we hone in on a good, safe sunscreen?
Yeah, so that's a great discussion. I'm pro sun. Obviously, I'm not pro sunburn, but
Brazilians tend to love the sun, as
yeah,
I know.
but
Yeah.
I love like enjoying the sun in a safe way. So obviously, if it's too hot, even sunscreen may not be the best. So put like some UV protective clothing.
Mm.
But in the morning, I'm like, I love if it's warm to be a little bit in the sun, no sunscreen, just to get that, sunlight to activate my whole body. But during the day, and we are exposed to a lot of not only sun, UV exposure, but pollution. There are a lot of like environmental stresses that a good sunscreen can help protecting your skin. So I'm the type of person that I would get a little bit of sunlight in the morning. I would apply sunscreen. Like I'm in favor of like the mineral ones. They tend to be safer. The chemical ones, as you said, not all of them. It's not like there is not one rule, but they tended to have some of those ingredients that can be endocrine disruptors, and there are studies showing that they can get in your blood. Obviously, there is a lot of discussion about the amount, but if you have a safer option, I would go for the safer option. So I apply the sunscreen on my face and obviously my body if I'm going to stay in the sun for long periods. The thing that I cannot tolerate if my skin is burning, I feel like that burning sensation, like I need to get out of the sunlight. I know that at that point I'm causing some damage to my skin, and it's so obvious because your skin will get red and it will get like a little swollen, and that's a clear inflammation reaction, and that's your body saying that you caused damage. So it's really clear that everyone should avoid sunburn. Some people can tan and some people can stay in the sun and not get sunburn. I would still avoid being in the sun without sunscreen for like long periods and when you have a high UV index. Again, I don't think it hurts to put sunscreen if it's a safe product. And we know that the chances of getting some types of skin cancers, if you get a lot of mutations from UV exposure, it's higher. One of the ways that we actually induce senescence or we induce age in the lab is exposing the skins and the skin cells to UVB. So we have a UV simulator machine here in the lab, and we clearly see if we expose them to high intensity, they will get high senescence, they will get a lot of more like aging markers. And the good part is that we can reverse them with OS-01 peptide. But in a certain extent, like obviously we cannot reverse everything, but it is a clear aging inducer. So that's clear. So if you can be mindful and know how to, and even if you put sunscreen and you are in the sun, you are going to still get tanned. Like you're going to still produce your vitamin D. It's not that you are blocking 100%, but you are blocking the most detrimental UV rays that can cause like mutations in your cells. So that's what you should like worry about.
And you have a sunscreen, right?
Yeah, we do. We do have sunscreen for the face and for the body. Because we're all about skin health, and sunscreen is one of the main products that can help maintain that healthy skin and youthful skin as well.
And so I found somewhere that you use a diverse ethnic skin models as it relates to your products. Can you talk about the differences that people should probably be aware of with different skin tones and different skin ethnicities? Or ethnic skins?
So the beauty of being able to replicate these skins in the lab is that we can use cells from a variety of donors. So we have cells from Afro-American, from Hispanic, from Asian, from Caucasian, and we can see how they compare in terms of like some aging gene levels, senescence load, and even like how much they tolerate UV damage. So a few things we can confirm. Obviously, Afro-American, they can tolerate more of the UV exposure because the melanin can absorb more of that UV light. The Asian skins, they have lower levels of aging genes. So that also confirms that we see that they don't tend to age faster
Aesthetically. Yeah.
aesthetically, and similar, or like, on the opposite, the Caucasian have like the highest aging genes. So I think this is interesting to show that there is this variety, but the aging's happening in one way or another to all of us. And this approach that we are offering to prevent or reverse aging, it's applicable to any skin type, any skin ethnicity. But obviously, we can see that some, genetic or ethnicities, they have particular, characteristics in regards to their, I don't know, vulnerability, or how they handle, or like how the aging process affect them.
Interesting. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your products. What's your most popular product?
The most popular is the face moisturizer that contains the SPF. So in fact, this is a product designed to mainly target skin aging. And it turns out to be a moisturizer as I would say, a second benefit. But we don't like calling it like an anti-aging, because we don't just agree with the term anti-aging, but it is a product designed to address skin aging and promote this real rejuvenation effect with OS-01 peptide. That's a light moisturizer that suits like every skin type. So if you have a drier skin, you may want to add another layer of moisturizer on top. But if you have like a normal or combination skin, that one should be good for you. And it's also supposed to simplify your skincare routine. I know that a lot of people have like 10-step skincare routine. We want to pack everything that your skin needs in very few products. I'm an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people appreciate their time and appreciate their money. So they don't want to spend like too much time, or even like it requires a lot of research to have a very complex skincare routine. So for us, like if I want to have my best and healthiest skin, like what are the simple products that I should use? That's what we want to offer. And it starts with that face moisturizer that you can also apply around your eyes, even though we have another product just for the eye area. But it's totally safe if you want, again, if you want to simplify. Men, for example, I don't want to add another eye cream. So just apply everything, on your eyes, on your neck. And yeah, that one we launched in 2021, and it's been our best selling since then. And
if somebody were good, I don't know if you have sets, but if you're like, hey, 2-3 products, like what should they be looking at if they're like, hey, I want to get the most value?
Yeah. So the main products that we have in our line, it's the face, and then we have the body lotion, which we developed because most people ignore the 97% skin of their body and just take care of about your face. And the reality is that your skin is aging, is accumulating senescent cells. That senescent cells is accumulating in your whole body. So if you want and senescent cells secrete inflammation, we have done a study that we recruited like older participants, 60 to 85 years. We collect their blood, and then they use the body product for 3 months, and we collect the blood again. And we could show that by restoring your skin health barrier, decreasing in the amount of like inflammation that's coming from your skin, it impacts your systemic levels of inflammation. So
Wow.
So that's something that most people don't think about, because yes, the skin is, covering my whole body. And right now your skin is pretty thick. You can do like this test here. Your skin comes back really fast. When you're 60 or 70, you're going to see how, the elasticity goes down and it becomes fragile. So that's one area that most people ignore, and that we educated that we should also like treat our body as we're treating our face. And we have seen even people with like, skin that start to tear easily and they start using the product so they heal better.
Mm.
Anyways, there are many, many benefits for the body lotion. The majority of people that really appreciate is people that are already feeling like the crepiness in their skin. So people see great results. So that's our second best selling product. And the third one is the eye product. That's the one that we developed specifically for the eye area, because we found out that the skin age just under or above your eye is 20 to 30 years older than the skin on your temple or forehead.
Wow.
I know it's shocking, depressive, but we all know that's where we start seeing, the signs of aging faster. And the skin is thinner. It's 5 times thinner than the rest of your face, accumulates more damage, accumulates more senescent cells. So there was a clear reason why we should develop a product for that area. And what we did, we partnered with plastic surgeons and we got the skin from eyelids, people that were doing the blepharoplastic surgery, and the skin is so thin, so delicate, but we were able to really formulate a formula that it's very gentle, has a higher concentration of the peptide. So this is the most powerful formula that we have. And so it can increase collagen 230% more if you don't use any product. And like the face product increased collagen to 40% and the eye product increased to 230%. So it's a huge boost on collagen production. And with the clinical study that we did with a third party, organization, like showed amazing results with using instrument analysis on elasticity, hydration, and even on the, fine lines, wrinkles. Even people that had a lot of lines here, like the lines were smoothing out. It seems that they did like almost like a eye lift,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one
Okay.
of the that's really cool. And then we have the sunscreens and the cleanser. So it's intended to be very simple, and so anyone can use, like men, women, and yeah.
Very cool. So key ones: face, body, and then eye, and then you've got a sunscreen and a cleanser. Like just go get the whole thing. I wanted to ask one just real quick question because I'm interested, and then I've got wrap up questions. And you have collected a whole lot of knowledge in this kind of longevity, anti-aging, certainly by going to these biohacking events, like all of this stuff. Do you have plans on products that are not skin focused, like maybe internal? Like is that down the road? And I don't think we have time to jump into it unless there's one that you're like, I'm excited about this or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good discussion that we have had many times internally. And while we love supplements and we believe supplements are so important for your health, and even our peptide could potentially be administered, orally, obviously this would be more like an FDA route. To us would require to develop a novel expertise that would take so much time from us. And as an entrepreneur, you know that it's important to have focus and to choose something that you want to be the best in the world. And we want to be the best in the world in addressing skin aging. We'll have another product that's not necessarily for skin aging. I can already share a sneak peek. It's going to be for hair thinning, hair loss, which it's more, close to skin, your scalp, and a lot of the processes are similar. Other than that, our focus is continue to evolve our technology to better address skin aging and to promote this rejuvenation. Science is evolving fast. We are a team of scientists that we want to be translating this faster to consumers, faster than any other company. So that's why L'Oreal or any other big corporate, they don't have the same ability that we have to innovate, because we are, constantly translating these new discoveries, and that's where we want to be the best in the world.
Okay. I mean, and part of that is like, one of the things just with our product is we do get skin, nail, and hair, to kind of address things inside and out makes a lot of sense. All right. Here's our wrap up questions. Do you have a target age that you want to live to?
Uh, yes, I don't, yeah, 100.
100. I
Yeah.
like it. How long do you think humans can live?
I think humans can live probably to 140, 150.
I like that. What 2 to 3 protocols, habits, mindsets, let's call them shortcuts, because everybody likes shortcuts, to longevity and a long health span would you share?
To me, the most impactful ones are sleep, exercise, obviously diet, but I would add one more that to me is the hardest one that I'm, trying to get better. It's managing stress and
Mm,
increasing awareness. I think when you increase awareness and you put yourself out of the situation that you would be very stressed about, it helps you to have more clarity and to
mm,
manage that challenge that we all face in our lives. We all have you know, yeah, we will face like diseases, sickness, losses, and it can be really, really tough, and that can affect our longevity, I think, more than any of the other things. So that's one that I'm constantly trying to work. And for me, it's a lot of meditation. It's spending time in nature. It's breathing exercise, getting a little bit of sunlight. But always reminding myself of like that awareness of not, being led by let yourself be, to be taken by your thoughts, because a lot of
mm.
thoughts, your thoughts can basically take over, and you needed to step back and have, see things with more clarity.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? And just what you just said, and it's well documented that stress can cause you to not follow your diet the best, cause you to not exercise the best, and certainly cause you to not sleep your best. And so that's a great point. What are 1 to 2 things that people get absolutely wrong about longevity and a long health span?
I think one thing is that, longevity is for old people.
Mm, mm,
So you should worry about this when I'm old. It's easy to be almost like inconsequent when you're young, when you're 20s, like I can drink and I can wake up next day, no hangover, no problem.
yeah.
And I think as we realize that, aging is a build-up of damage, and you're building up that damage when since you were born. So I think being able to act, or like to be more aware and more mindful of your choices earlier, I think is super important. And the opposite is true. Like it's never too late to make changes. So if on
Mm,
my, 60 and I decided to change my habits and change my life, there are amazing, stories of like real transformations that you can reverse your biology, and that's the beauty of everything that we're studying. Like there are many tools, and there are free tools which are like, exercise, diet, and a lot of other treatments that can help you reverse your biology. So yeah, I always like to remind people about that.
So I like that. So it's both. You should start earlier than you think, and also it's never too late to start.
Yeah.
Um, Carolina, how can people contact you?
So I invite people to follow OneSkin, sign up in our newsletters. We share a lot of content around longevity, not only around the skin health and all the data that we generate in the lab, the new products that we are researching. We invite people to be beta testers. So it's worth receiving, all of our emails. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Carolina Reis Oliveira. You can add my LinkedIn account there. I'm not very active, but anyways, I think OneSkin is the best way to follow what we're doing, and on Instagram as well. We're at oneskin.co, not .com, oneskin.co.
Excellent. And what in the near future are you excited about?
So many things. I think there is a lot of new technologies and things going on in this longevity space. I think cellular reprogramming is super cool. Obviously, CRISPR. I want to see how those things will translate to us consumers in the near term. The other area that I'm very excited about is menopause and fertility, how we should all change our mindset about, okay, menopause, it is the way that it is, and we can't do anything about. Like, I think hormone therapy is becoming super common, and we are demystifying like a lot of the fear that was around this treatment, and it can really improve like women's quality of life, and I think that's an exciting field. And the same for fertility. I think women are unfortunately very affected by the limited time that we have our fertility, and I think this longevity research will help us to extend it to be more in control in a way that that's fair, that we deserve.
Well, yeah, I think it's more in line with where kind of sociologically our mindset is later is better, right? But physiologically we're bumping into some mountains, if not some walls, right? And I think that makes sense. Like, let's address that. And I've had lots of I think my wife is an influencer speaking in Spanish about menopause, so that's certainly something that has resonated with people, because I don't think enough people are talking about it. So that makes a lot of sense. All right. So the website, right, is oneskin.co, right?
Yeah. Correct.
I think on Instagram you're OneSkin, or do you still need the dot? Is it just OneSkin on Instagram?
No, I do need the .co. Yeah.
On Instagram. And then sign up for that newsletter. You can find her on LinkedIn, but don't expect that much communication. She is busy. Actually, just to share, this is a rescheduling because the last one she's like, I have an investor meeting, and that sounds stressful to me. So like, I understand why that was one of your key things. Like,
to talk that days.
an emergency investor meeting, there's nothing unstressful about that. And so you can find her on all those. If you're on the newsletter, you could potentially be in some beta testing. That sounds incredibly exciting. Carolina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. That was very fun.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Live Beyond the Norms podcast. Make sure to subscribe and follow. Also, make sure not to be that guy, the guy sharing this podcast with people who are not interested in living beyond the norms. If you would like to learn more about the ESS60 molecule, the molecule responsible for the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, a full 90% extension of life, visit myvitalc.com. That's myvitalc as in carbon.com.